I'm gonna pull the whole thing down. I'm gonna bring the whole fucking diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's gonna be biblical.
Hello, here we are again for this time of the week. Patriots across the pond and Frens, REDPILLING RENE, episode 3. Straight into it. Rene, how are you? Oh, and Elisa's got George on, just to say hello for a little bit today. How are you guys?
Good.
Oh,
Good morning.
TGIF.
Yeah, good. Rene, how's your week been?
Well, last time we spoke, I was in the Bahamas. I was in Nassau, and we got hit by this huge snowstorm here in New York. And I was the last plane out of that airport. So it seems like the vibrations are improving.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's a positive.
Good.
I think so.
So, you've obviously been going down your rabbit holes yourself because of the questions you asked. But have you done your homework?
So I told you guys from the beginning, New York life is not easy. I have a lot of pressure. I have a lot of employees, a lot of stuff to do. I have been taking in selective work, selective things. I also have Elisa that I can call if I have a question. She is my cousin. Thanks to that fellow right there. So what's interesting is that, I don't know if this makes any sense, but the way I'm looking at the world right now is just so different that things that used to stress me out no longer stress me out. And I find myself being, I'm a fairly giving person. Fairly giving. I find myself being incredibly giving. Like, it's almost like I have this gift now inside of me, and I don't want to tell people what I'm starting to learn because I don't want to scare them. But at the same time, just by behaving differently, I think I'm affecting people, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you're at a higher vibration now, so that's going to definitely affect people in a positive, loving way.
Yeah, and I deal with a lot of human beings. I have hundreds of clients, and I used to get, I hate to say it, I used to get a little bit annoyed, a lot, and now not so much. I'm not so annoyed anymore.
So, I mean, what difference is
So thank you guys.
Yeah, but it's good because you have said previously that you are the sort of person that you've got plenty of people's lives in your hands every day. Yeah. You don't feel stress. You don't feel anxiety. You are head on with these things. So, how's that changed?
Well,
You,
I don't feel stress. I'm programmed. You know, I've been doing this for a long time. I don't feel stress, but I do get annoyed. So one thing is to be stressed out. Another thing is to be bothered. So I'm obviously not stressed. I don't get stressed, but I'm not annoyed, which means I'm happier. I'm less perturbed. You know, the little things no longer bother me, which is great because now the days are miraculously less taxing, if that makes
definitely.
So I have a question.
I feel less weight. How's that?
So I have a question. You just got all this stuff thrown on you, right? In a very traumatic kind of a way, right? Bad, horrible stuff. So it almost seems like an oxymoron that you learned all this and yet you're happier.
But you have to understand what I am. I'm a catastrophic personal injury lawyer. All I see is misery. So for a guy like me, like I'm kind of designed for this in a way. So for me to see more misery, it's just adding another, you know, spoonful of sugar into the coffee, because I see misery all the time. I hear complaining and sadness all the time. So this is just, it's almost like I can handle it because of my everyday life. I'm not, you know, I don't work for the Park Service. I don't work at a restaurant where I have to be happy all the time, dealing with the customers. I'm dealing with people's misery. So that now I'm seeing a whole different level of misery. And by some strange phenomenon, it's made me happier.
Yeah. Because you see the world in a different way.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's almost like it's almost like I was beaten to a pulp already. And now you just hit me one more time. It's just like, that's all you got?
Yeah. And I thought it'd be fun to have George on, but you know, when I met George, his view of the world, like he had a very Zen, you know, Eastern philosophy. So he kind of had like a sense that something isn't right. I don't know exactly what it is, but I know like it's not what it seems. So when I started, you know, sharing all this stuff with him, I mean, I'd rather him say like how he reacted, but I think it was on a from a slightly different position than you. Like when you started hearing about the Fed and taxes and the children, like how'd that affect you?
But you know all along something was wrong. You just didn't know what it was. And now it all makes sense.
No.
I mean,
so I sent you a photo this morning, Elisa, of
one of the Rothschilds.
Of a Rothschild who was clearly some grandmaster type Masonic person. And then I started looking into, you know, these symbols, because of course I had to. And it turns out, correct me if I'm wrong, that these lead back to ancient Babylon.
Yep.
All right. So then I started thinking in this brain that I have that I read a book years ago called The Richest Man in Babylon. So The Richest Man in Babylon it was like a guidebook how to become incredibly wealthy using like techniques. And then my brain's extrapolating that. It's like, oh shit, that's where it started. Maybe The Richest Man in Babylon was the seed to this whole demonic movement. Baal. How's that?
I mean, I think like we all want to find.
Stu?
I think we all want to find the answer.
What do you think? You think maybe I'm onto something here?
Well, we know this goes back a long, long time, and whatever secret society it's, I mean,
it's Mesopotamia. It's, you know.
But it could go back even further, you know. Like
Right.
We know that through a lot of the folks in this community and different information and people who channel and people who've, you know, gone through near-death experiences and then come back with all this knowledge that they don't know where they got it from. You know, it's millions, maybe billions.
Right.
We don't know if this then you go down the rabbit hole of, you know, reptilians and different races that set things up in such a way to control us because we're a food source, we're a slave source, right? So I don't know that we're ever going to know the exact moment.
Listen, I'm just dealing with what's accepted in Western knowledge. You know, it seems like every day something new comes out that says our civilization is older than we thought. You know, I've come to the realization that we don't know much of anything. We've been kind of really deceived. Like it's like, yeah, whatever. Okay, I believe that. I believe that. I believe that. I went from being the most incredulous person to being like, yeah, okay, yep,
yeah,
sure.
I mean, look, if you believe the Bible, the Earth is 2,000 years old. We know things are, you know, ancient Babylon and stuff like that, potentially 6,000 years. But when they unearthed Göbekli Tepe, they've dated that as 9,500 years before Christ. So that's 11,000 years old. So we do not know our history. We are discovering it all the time. But what we do know is the powers that be have lied to us about all of it.
Oh, yeah. It's but if you accept, I hate to say this, that we are basic little peons, every one of us, then it makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, but you also have to throw into the mix that if that's really who we are, they wouldn't have gone to so much trouble to dumb us down and to, you know, calcify our pineal and poison us, because what that really says is we're a lot more powerful than them.
Well, they fear us, and this has been part of my reading, because you guys have set into motion something very scary. So it turns out, from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, that DNA is the most sacred thing.
Yep.
So they want our DNA.
And there's good potential evidence out there. I mean, scientists call it junk DNA. Well, if you think our creator put a load of junk DNA in us, you are wrong. So it looks like the human race has been manipulated to lower our DNA sometime in the past. You know, we're meant to be telepathic beings and all sorts of stuff. Manifestors,
yeah. Like I think of something and it's there. It sounds crazy, but
I believe that. No, and that's something that actually, if you think about it retrospectively, it actually makes sense.
Yeah.
People kind of like make fun of me because I'm like a little bit obsessive with stuff, but it's the only way I found to get things done. Like, it's very hard for me to do 5 things at a time. Very hard for me. But you give me one thing to do, look out. You know, it's so that's where I think the manifesting comes in. It's like the single-minded focus. You know, I think some people have it more than others. Some people, you know, embrace their what's called their ADHD, and you know, because I guess they're designed that way. They can multitask at an incredibly high level. I can't, but you give me one thing to do, I can manifest that usually into reality.
Yeah. But I think with this stuff, like this truther stuff, I think we all have in common that we have gotten completely obsessed. You know, like I remember back when I started seeing all this, like in 2020, 2019, hours, videos, reading, you know, digging, because it really goes to the core of our, like, why, then what does it all mean, you know?
Yeah, I think the more people start seeing things, and by things I'm saying bad things. I think the human race has seen enough badness where we're ready to see real badness. The concern I have is the mainstream media. You know, it's a news cycle. People can get news cycled out of, like, literally. I had dinner with my parents, my brother, his wife, their baby last night, and I was telling them about the Epstein files, and they they were so focused just on the surface of what's out there that I was like, wait a second, this is literally the most important news break
Ever.
of the history of the world. And I'm not exaggerating. I think this is the most important thing that has ever happened in terms of news. Because if I'm sorry, if they can just somehow keep in front of people's eyes for more than a few days and make this the thing, the world collectively will wake up. Because within Epstein, you have so many things going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's all like there for you to see. The problem is people have no attention spans. They can't focus on anything. They're too bogged down with the pain and the difficulty of their daily lives, you know, their own personal problems, that if they can just step away from their own personal problems, they will see that the book is being written and opened before them by this breakthrough.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I think we pretty much know right now the mainstream media is controlled at this point by us. But you have to remember, you have a society that needs to function, right? They didn't want to have civil war, and they didn't want to have people just breaking down, ending up in the hospital, right? Q says 99% of the people end up in hospital. Like, think about devout Catholics. That's just one example. Well, now you're telling them the Pope is wearing red shoes that are made from babies. They're all satanic. Like, how does someone comprehend that? You know, so they have to curate on different levels. If you're at a certain level now, you're going to hear it differently, right?
So, forgive me for doing this, but I may have dropped a little Mother Teresa reference to my mother last night.
Oh,
Forgive me for this.
Oh, there's no forgiving.
no forgiveness. If you knew what we did.
Well done.
I mean, this is what you guys have done. And she looks at me like, because she believes me. You know, like if I tell her something, she knows I'm not gonna play with her. It's like, I don't think she could even speak.
Do you remember when I said that to
She
you?
goes to church every Sunday. She's as Catholic can be.
Yeah.
And she looks at me as like,
Poor thing.
she didn't want to tell me I'm insane. She didn't want to tell me shut up. She just kind of looked at me. But you want to know something? Kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you extrapolate that to Epstein taking on the same distribution pathways that Mother Teresa took, then we're in crazy land. But crazy land being like, oh, okay.
I think you mentioned Mother Teresa once when we were having coffee, and I was like, I think I said something to you.
Yeah, but you didn't do it. It was me. I did it on my own.
I know.
I did it on my own. And then the fact that she was canonized. Ugh.
Fast tracked.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I know why they did this, to cover up their tracks. So no one looks at the saint. It's a sin to question a saint. Oh, damn it. I know what they're doing. Thanks, guys, for
Yeah.
Right. I mean, right. Okay. We did send you a couple of things to watch. Have you watched that Devolved series yet?
No. I explained to Elisa. It's for me. I'm doing this at 8 in the morning New York time. I have no court today. I'm dressed like a cowboy. It's cool. I could do it. The problem is, it's not easy for me. It really isn't. I literally need to be treated like a baby.
Yeah, but that's the whole point, though. We wouldn't send you anything for homework that wasn't in the scope of what we've already talked about in one of our shows and what we want you to watch.
Stu, I wasn't a very good student. I was just very smart. What I would love to do is maybe, Elisa, we could get together next week. We could go for coffee. We can go to a corner and we can look at stuff together. I think that would be
We could do that. But I'm going to tell you, and I would love to. That would be a pleasure because it's always nice to sit there and go, see? But some of the stuff is, hours long. So
no, but we could put it on double speed and we could just all right, stop there. It's and we could talk because otherwise it's me.
I'd be more than happy to do
otherwise
that.
I'm looking at a screen. I don't
know. Let me differentiate.
What we can do a three-way, little watch party, if you like.
Let's do that because for me to just stare at a screen.
Well, let me tell you one thing though. The two forget about the Sheila video for a minute because that's more geopolitical. The information I sent you with Rob Cunningham was very cerebral. This is a guy who's been there from the beginning. He understands the rail like that. I just thought would be an interesting thing that wasn't necessarily rabbit holey. It was more just like expanding information. So we try to think about what could we send him that's going to.
Elisa, look, I go back to this.
Because you obviously have time to go down rabbit holes about
at 3 in the morning.
So put your headphones
on. When I wake
up
from my REM sleep and I'm like, what do I do now? Then I go downstairs and for a half hour I go to sit on the couch, look at crazy shit, and then go back to bed. That's
you should be looking at the crazy shit we've sent you.
It actually helps me sleep.
As crazy as the shit you're looking at.
It actually helps me sleep, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. No, I've sent you that Devolved series. The episodes are about 45 minutes an hour. There's 5 of them. There might be
some of them are short. Some of them like a half hour.
We'll do a watch party. It'll trust me. It'll be more effective for me because to sit me down to watch something for an hour. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Unless it's a Miami Dolphins football game, ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, good. All right, we'll have a chat about that because we got a few other things to do over the weekend. So if you're free over the weekend and stuff, you might be able to do it.
You know what's a very good day for me because I have a conference call at 3 p.m. on Sunday, maybe at 2 p.m. on Sunday, New York time, because I know I have this conference call at 3. I'll shoot over to the office. This way I'll leave my family back at the house. Is that okay for you? 2 o'clock?
Yeah. Now, Elisa, you said we've got something at
12.
With Mark at 12. Yes. So if
he's short. He doesn't do like long-winded. He does like an hour.
We might be able to do Rene at 2 then.
That'd be great. That'd be great. I just so I'll have lunch with my family, and then I'll just I have something to do. And I'll just shoot over here. I'll do this for a couple. I do my conference call at 3, and then I'll go back to family time.
Yeah, I mean, look, we can even watch it on here during this show. The people that watch this show want to see reactions, so we could just play one of those episodes today, the first one.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you guys are in charge. I'm your student. I am your grasshopper, as David Carradine did.
I think the first episode is about 45 minutes long, so we can watch that now if you like, after we chat on a few more bits.
Do you want to do it on
1.25?
Like 1.5 might be a little too fast, but 1.5.
I'll speed it up. But I just want to talk about this first, because obviously the reason I want you to watch this Devolved series is because John Herald wrote the Devolution series, and you can read it at devolution.link or devolution.us, I think it is now. There's 25 parts, 4 addendum. He talks you through all the executive orders and what Trump was doing in COVID, right, the stealing of elections and all this. It's amazing to watch. But Dauntless Dialogue put all of that into a short video series, right?
So let's do it. If you could do it now, great.
Yeah, but I'll find that in a minute. But one of the reasons when we were talking in the last show about is that Joe Biden, right, that we saw over this 4-year developed.
There's no way that's Joe Biden.
So let's just have I'm going to show you 2 or 3 little videos and a couple of little things, and we'll just have a quick chat about that for a minute. Now,
there's no way.
That is not the same man, is it? Now
No.
we know that the real Joe Biden has got a detached earlobe here. This Joe Biden, or some of them, it's people talk about cosmetic surgery and there's in the face tuck and all these things, but there is so much stuff. So let me just play a couple of these little videos. I think you'll find them quite interesting. Pay attention to this one, to his left eye.
Running to a second pandemic with all of the variants. It seems like we're working just about as hard as we were last year. But Dr. Graham is going to tell you a little bit about what we're doing in that regard.
That's just one.
That's why. No, and let me just say something. So you start thinking about, during COVID, the whole, insistence on masks. I mean, in a twisted way, it gives them even more cover.
100%.
If these people aren't who they are, mask away. They have less to worry about.
North Carolina. And he was a very conservative guy who was very, very...
Oh my gosh, that's a mask. Holy cow.
He always had quite all the key to success.
Yeah, that was that video there was part of one of my dinner conversations with my wife.
Yeah.
Her first reaction was, skin doesn't do that.
But here's the thing, like, you're watching this, right? And it's so obvious. Like, the white hats have an amazing sense of humor. So they're doing this and people are still insisting and just taking for granted that that's him. No. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is how dense people are.
And you know what she said to me? Oh, yeah, Mrs. Doubtfire. And you know what? Mrs. Doubtfire was pretty damn convincing, don't you think?
Yep.
Hollywood makeup artists are pretty talented, right?
Union, somebody snapped that, and we're going to sit here and act like that's Joe Biden. I have never seen a man change so fast. Ball-chinian, no ball-chinian. Earlobes touch, earlobes hang. I don't get what's going on. Can we close in on the corner of this guy's eye towards his nose? Check this out. I mean, you could fit your whole finger in there. What is going on? It looked like his eye is back, like under layers. Hi, I'm Joe Biden, and today my chin is actually made with latex. That ain't real, son. That was just a few months ago. It looks like someone with a small hand just did a thunder jab. We're going from the upside down mountain range to this. Smooth as a baby's ass. That looks like a fucking fondue on a cake. But that's the Biden that came out before the speech looking like the guy from fucking Poltergeist. That's spot on. God! These teeth aren't as big and gangly as the other ones. This whole thing freaks me out. I'm not going to lie to you. It freaks me out. I got more questions than answers.
Yeah, he goes from...
Say goodbye.
He goes from Bolchinia to the Great Plains.
Head off to work.
Bye, George.
Bye, Georgie. Go Dolphins, Georgie.
Hey, Joe! Oh, the cops don't even want you. This is the one that you see on CNN. But where's the real Joe?
Oh, wow. It's we go to that whole perception is reality. Like, if you're not looking for this stuff, you're not seeing.
Yeah. And if you notice, a lot of these celebrities, politicians, like they were gone for a while, you didn't see them. So the human mind, like, do you ever read those things like they're missing letters and you could still figure out what the sentence is because the brain connects it? So the brain is going to make it seem like it believes it. You give it a little time, it's not going to remember those details unless you study it. So you're muted, Stu.
Sorry, we've heard about celebrities for a long time, haven't we? The fact that you haven't seen them for months and they come back looking different. Have they had the plastic surgery? That's what everyone used to say. But is it now? They've played out their purpose, or they've turned against the cabal. So they take them out, put someone else in, and whether that's an actor or a clone or these sorts of things. We've seen this for ages, but we never used to question it before until we've seen all these rubber wrinkles in people's heads and stuff.
Yeah,
and Trump tells you, where's Joe? That doesn't look like him. He's got the biggest mask I've ever seen. Joe's shot. All this stuff. Trump says.
So do you know how many state? I feel like a terrible man of the law by saying this, but it's true. Because we're here to tell the truth, right?
Yeah.
Do you know how many State of the Union addresses I've seen in my life? One. The one that just happened.
That was amazing. Now, a lot of people might look at that and go,
incredible.
Oh my God, this is the most horrendous thing I've ever seen,
nope.
which it was. But we look at that going, this is fucking brilliant. Because what a way to wake the people up. Trump is a master orator and 5D chess psychological narrative warfare agent.
So one of the techniques that we use as litigators is that we set traps. We set traps for our adversaries because it's a type of warfare, what we do for a living. So all I kept saying is like, oh man, he just set another trap. They took it. Shit, they're dead. All right, he just set another trap. No, they're not that stupid. Boom.
Well, maybe they're not, Renee. Maybe they're not that stupid. Maybe they are captive, and maybe they're being shamed, and it's a humiliation ritual to show that this is who they really are. Now, I don't know anybody who would actually have sat there. Seriously, these people have hidden this stuff for so long. They're phonies. They would have stood up. They would have said, but
they're not human. I mean,
yes.
How do you not stand up for a veteran who got shot at in a helicopter? How do you not stand up for a little girl? How dare you? How dare you?
How do you not stand up for the girl that was stabbed on the subway and her mother was there crying?
How dare you?
But that's who they really are. So we think that they were already captive. Who knows if that's even them? Like maybe it is.
Right.
It does not make sense, because if you were still in control and part of the cabal and they are masters of deception, or used to be, right? They would have stood up for all of it.
Right.
But it was so absurd that I think they've been capitulated and they were told, you have to sit down. Look, the look on their faces, because they knew they were being filmed.
Yeah. And you had like 2 people, right, Stu, or 3 that were standing. And so that's saying we're not part of that. We weren't part of it.
What's his name? Is it Festerman, the guy from Pennsylvania? Fetterman, the guy from Pennsylvania. That guy just doesn't give a shit. Well, he does what he wants.
We think he's working for the White Hats.
It's the only explanation, because I don't even look at him as a politician. He's just a genuine person.
Yeah. See, what you do is you get White Hat actors Whether you've capitulated these people or they've always been playing a part. They get in there, they play a part to be on one side, and then they have a public awakening themselves and start moving away from that Democratic Party and telling the people that follow them in all walks of life, like AOC and these other people, that, you know, I mean, AOC's still in it. That's a bad example of what I'm saying now. But
we don't even know if she's real. Like, do you know what I'm saying? She was a
we
plant
think
at the beginning.
We think she's a Judas goat. It's like Zelensky, right? There's a lot of people think he's playing a part, right? The perfect example with Trump.
Yeah, and it's amazing how they can just make you believe what they want you to believe. Tell me if this is true, because and give me some evidence behind it. That the Vladimir Putin today is not the same Vladimir Putin as before.
Look at the pictures.
They're different people, right?
And perhaps he was a bad guy. They say that general, I can't remember his name, is really the one running things, and Putin, the character, is the face. Do you know what I'm saying? Because this is military across the board. Right. But I agree with you. That is not the same man.
No, because I remember loathing the other man and really liking this one.
His face is round. The other guy had a more chiseled look. Right. The eyes were set, more out. Like this guy's eyes are set back. I mean, and I don't think it's an accident that they do that, because they're giving a little message to those of us that are awake and like, okay, it is a show. You weren't there, let's say, in 2020 when it was enjoy the show, get your popcorn, this movie, enjoy the movie. Like, so we were primed, psyoped, to realize that this was a movie. Now, when did the movie start? Who knows? We don't really know. I mean, publicly,
they really had me. They really had me. I took that Russiagate hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah.
They had me.
And now you see they had to do it. Like, in other words,
they had me.
If we go on the premise, right? It's a big if. If we go on the premise that this has been taken care of longer than we can imagine, right? Let's just imagine they had all this kind of, not done, but they had really infiltrated and they were running the show, the White Hats. Let's say back to the Obama administration. If that's the case, they had to let these things play out, because that's the only way that they were going to be able to reference the bad stuff they did. Maybe the White Hats knew, like we know from what we've heard, that when the election was going on, they watched the numbers switched. They watched it. They saw it. They let it happen. Why'd you let it happen? Why didn't you arrest them? Because you have to let them commit the crime. It's a sting operation.
Right. And so what we do is, as lawyers, like, let's say we have a photograph that we know is kind of like out there, but we don't have it yet, kind of thing, but we know it's out there. And so what we like to do is we like to have a witness perjure themselves and just let them talk about something that we know is not the case. And then we just kind of like sit back, we like ask a million questions, and like, to the point where it's ad nauseum. We just ask a million questions and let them just hang themselves. And then at some point, once we get the evidence, we exchange it.
Mm-hmm.
And then we either say, oh, we want a further deposition, or we don't do a damn thing about it and let them stew. No offense to you. Stew.
None taken.
Yeah. Do you remember, Stu, back in the day, like 2020? I think it was before the election, when we were watching that I think it was a trial or a deposition in Ukraine. I think it was Ukraine. and they were talking about all the stuff like Hunter Biden was there and the money that was exchanged and the phone, and the corporations. And I remember saying to myself, how is this guy running for president? Before we fully understood what was going on, I was like, what? They have the information. They have the evidence. Weren't they arresting him? So it fooled. Listen, this is sophisticated strategy, military stuff. And who knows who we don't know who they're getting help from. We just don't know, the positive ETs, whatever, those who want to protect us. I mean, this is very, very strategic.
It's crazy when you start thinking in these levels, You know what I'm finding a lot of like comfort in, and it's like I have no proof that it even exists, but the Pleiadians.
Pleiadians.
I don't even know, but like for some reason I feel like the Pleiadians have our back.
Yeah.
These are the things that now give me comfort, whereas before I'd be like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, there's definitely benevolence out there. Which is what, a lot of the people that do Black Pearl and things they've got no faith that there's any goodness out there. Oh, they're all the same. They're all in the same boat and stuff. And I know some people say, oh, well, it's down to us. You have to have your own relationship and wake yourself up. But as a collective, we need to do it together. That's what where we go one, we go all means, that as many of us as possible.
So, humanity is about to go through some real shit. And let me tell you what this is about. So I forget his first name, but Dorsey, he's a billionaire. He's
Jack.
got
Jack Dorsey.
Yeah, Jack Dorsey. So one of Jack Dorsey's companies just laid off 20% of its workforce because of artificial intelligence, and the stock mooned. It went up like 20%. We're in trouble. We're going to go through some. I mean, this is going to be like turn of the century, going from, cart and horse to the car, the automobile, industrial, agricultural age to industrial age. We're in trouble. We're going to have to really deal with some shit in the next couple of years if that becomes a pattern.
What?
But, right, and maybe that is not the reason why Jack Dorsey got rid of 20,000 people. Maybe Jack Dorsey has had maybe that's not Jack Dorsey anymore, but maybe Jack Dorsey has had the majority of his wealth confiscated because of Trump's executive orders, election interference, and child trafficking.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
See, this is what you guys do to me.
You have to understand try to wrap your head around this. These major companies, whether it be Amazon, whether it be the social medias, they were involved in child trafficking. Jack Dorsey was probably taken down. That's not the same Jack Dorsey, by the way, a long time ago. Additionally, I'm going to throw a real monkey wrench. What if a lot of these things that are happening that look like we're going down a path of danger with AI is really because the abundance is going to come in and people aren't going to have to go pick tomatoes and do all these jobs that
you're talking to a guy who is the number one admirer of all this. I mean, I'm in awe of it. I clearly have the concern that it goes south and it becomes terrible. But in terms of what it means to me, I think it could unlock the door to some of the greatest possibilities we could ever imagine.
Exactly. That's where we're going. I'm
just hoping we don't screw it up.
No, but this is why they have got one chance to do this. The white hats, the good guys, and it has to be done right. This is why it's taking a long time. This is why people just want to see arrests.
No, but maybe they were waiting for this moment where AI started really evolving, where it could help us cure diseases, it could help us have longevity, extrapolate wealth, diminish costs, and really improve society.
Yeah. And here's another one. What if that didn't just happen? What if those people didn't just get laid? Do you know anyone? Do you know them personally?
No, I don't.
What if this happened 5 years ago and it's part of the movie and this is the timing? And we didn't investigate enough, right, Stu? Somebody probably out there did. The date, the time, the comms that are involved with when it just happened, like when the Queen died, when this one died. There's always comms and connections and numbers. And so this could have very well happened. It's the slow rollout. This could have happened 5 years ago when they were confiscating everything under the executive orders. And now there's a public disclosure of it.
Because, I mean, we've got all the videos and stuff in Charlie Freaks said take down in the cabal about Bin Salman, because they tried to take out Bin Salman, we believe, and possibly Trump at the Las Vegas shooting. That we could go into that, all the discrepancies with that. But Bin Salman and Trump have got a serious relationship together, and they took down the government over there, didn't they? Arrested Bin Alaweed and all those 300 people, put them in that hotel, that sort of stuff. But in this, when Trump did his capitulation tour, which we showed you, Bin Salman went on a Silicon Valley capitulation tour with all these people, from Tim Cook Apple and Jack Dorsey and Mark Zuckerberg and all these people. And we think they were all capitulated then.
Now, when you say capitulated, explain.
Make the deal, motherfucker, or you're going to die.
Yeah. Here's the evidence.
Okay.
You will be strung out in the street by people who don't find it nice to hurt little children.
Right.
And they will, and so make the deal. And if you remember, I don't know if you remember, because we were like on it so much more. Remember when people were testing positive for COVID, testing negative for COVID, sick with COVID, all those were military comms. And basically testing positive for COVID meant they made the deal.
Holy shit. Okay. All right.
Remember Whoopi Goldberg was tested positive. There were so many people, and
I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, generally speaking, okay, and I'm not an expert at this, but if you make a deal and you decide to work with them, even if you're going to die, what do you have? What do you get out of it? Well, you have a legacy. You might have children. You might have a family. You have the whole world who thought something of you. Do you really want people to think that you're a disgusting human being? No. So you'll get to keep your legacy. And a lot of people got to keep their legacy.
It's called a Rommel death, isn't it?
What's that?
It's called a Rommel death.
A Rommel death.
Rommel, as in World War II.
Yeah.
And those people that we see being dragged through the mud as being assholes probably didn't make the deal.
Right.
Yeah. Or they've been replaced by an actor, making them look like the arseholes they are behind closed doors.
Yeah. So I've been reading that, in Hollywood, tell me if this is true. I don't know, but I keep seeing it, that you have to either give up a child or change their gender.
It's a sacrifice. So with
Right.
the Satanists, you have a sacrifice. So again, this is what we think, we know. Do we know? No. So we're always coming from that premise, right?
Everything.
Right. But if you look at certain actors and things that are weird about their lives, right? All these people that have girls and they start dressing them up as boys, and they have boys and they start dressing them up as girls.
Yeah,
The
everyone.
idea is that was the deal they made.
Mm-hmm.
They sold their soul. And so that was what they did. So I think a good example is probably like Magic Johnson. Have you seen his son?
I've seen a lot of these sons, and I find
this isn't about having a gay child.
But it's just weird.
Yeah.
Weird. I mean, look, it's one thing to have money. I know what it's like to have money. It's another thing to have some kind of fame. I get it. But why do they turn out so bizarre?
They sold their soul.
The Satanists.
Yes, they did.
Because they worship, Baal and Moloch and all that. And is it Baal and Moloch? Moloch is half man, half woman, isn't it? It's that thing in between. It's all taunting God.
It's all taunting God.
God's creation is man and woman. They are constantly taunting God, which is why they change their boys into girls, girls into boys. You know, a lot of the celebrities we look at, we side-eyeing them and stuff like that. There's rumours going, you know, Adam's apples, and is that a man or is that a woman?
Right.
And unfortunately, we're looking at people that we think she's well fit, and it actually might be he. You know, it's
Well, let me tell you something. Who was the greatest athlete of the 1970s? It was Bruce Jenner. Bruce Jenner was the greatest athlete of the 1970s, bar none. He won everything. That's a girl?
Well, you know,
what?
I used to think that this was because we know a lot about Kris Jenner and their witches and their practice all this and their Satanists. So but you know, I'm just saying it's going to sound crazy. How do we know that he wasn't playing a role to show the absurdity because he was so famous and, like you said, the greatest? And it's like, so.
Do you know how much testosterone it takes to win a decathlon?
Oh yeah, but I mean, you were just talking about we talk about Bruce Jenner, but
yeah, I mean, he won the decathlon. He won everything.
Yeah, but that is a man, isn't it? Now he's Caitlyn
No,
Jenner.
that's not a man. That's Superman.
Yeah, okay. Well, I would disagree because if you want to talk about the greatest athlete of the 70s going into the 80s, I'd have to say Daley Thompson. So
I'm assuming that's a footballer?
No, that's a UK decathlon.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize we were getting into nationalism.
But the point is his fame was such that he was, you know, wasn't he on the Wheaties box? And, yeah.
I think it was 1976.
Yeah.
You know, I was 5 years old. You know, Stu and I were 5 years old, and he was on the Wheaties box, and he was the greatest American athlete.
Yeah.
And then to see that guy.
Yeah, strange.
How?
But they had to show us very, very blatantly. You know, if you're going to start to see patterns now, you're going to start to see from like 2020, 2019, like different patterns, like things emerge really, really high and then all of a sudden they kind of die away. Well, the transgender agenda was one of those things that they had to shove in our face because people were shocked. The whole idea of these drag queens. Now, none of us have anything against a drag queen. You want to dress up as a woman? It's fun. You're an adult. You go to a show. They're
fun. They're a lot of fun. They're a lot of fun.
But now you're having them go into libraries and schools.
Lucky Charms in Manhattan.
Right.
Fun.
With 5-year-olds.
Yeah.
That's going to get people's attention to realize. Yeah. So who we really don't know. Like, we don't know with the whole. Listen, when it comes out how many first ladies are men.
I mean, you start looking at them with that lens. They do look rather mannish.
Macron's wife.
Oh yeah.
Barbara Bush.
You know, we dudes, we know. Like, it's like, really? You get up for that? You get up for that? How? How's that going to happen? She must read you poetry or something.
I'm saying, but it's all inverted.
I mean, how? No, it doesn't work that way.
And then you go back, right, Stu? Like, there's all these queens and everything that they said were dudes. That's coming out now. It's a satanic mockery of God.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Everything they do, don't forget, is anti-God.
Oh, that reminds me. So, this is how it's really affected me, to the point where, you know, at dinner, we're at this restaurant, steakhouse, and out of nowhere, I go to my parents. I go like, okay, don't be shocked by what I'm about to tell you, but I'm telling you this from the bottom of my heart. The devil is real. Demons are real. God is real. And Jesus is very real. These are not fables. These are not stories. These are not things to help adjust our behavior, to have an orderly society. This is as real as a heart attack. And they look at me as like, okay, where did that come from? Because it is. That was my answer. Because it is.
Yeah.
And we continue to then go on to our next course.
No, but think about it. Like President Trump is actually saying, I can't believe I have to say this, but there are two genders. Right? He actually has to come out publicly as the president of the United States, the leader of the free world, and say, there are two genders.
He needs to do that. He needs to say that there are two genders and there are 5 or 6 alien species living in the world. He needs to do that because I think the world is ready. I really do. I think we're ready. Because if you were to hit me with it now, after all the shit we've all been through as a society, I just need to know who's with me and who's against me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, we've been like that for years. But what if they? Well,
you guys aren't us. I mean, I'm just being red pilled, but you know.
Yeah. But what if they'd released everything on you, Rene, all at once before you had your awakening?
I reject it. I think I would think like the inverse. I was like, this is what they want to do to us now. To scare this, fuck you. You want to just scare us with all this psycho shit so we could be distracted from, scandal 27. But we go back to boiling the frog, and we're being quite boiled. I think we could kind of like get it little by little now, and I think people would actually be receptive to it more than ever. I don't know if completely, but more than ever.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So, all right, what do you want to look at? We can watch that first Evolve episode if you like. It's only 32 minutes, the first one.
I can do that. Yeah, and I don't know if we have time, but I had mentioned to Elisa during the week that because I was feeling, generally better and more in tune with things, that we could talk about vibrations.
Yeah.
Because that would explain, why I've been feeling this way. And that led to a little chat we had about med beds, which I find fascinating, and how they could help people in the future. And more about that. I think, if you can somehow incorporate that, I would find that completely fascinating.
Yeah.
And productive.
All right, well, let's just watch this then. This is 32 minutes. I've got it on 1.25 speed at the moment. So this is quite good.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, the plans and preparations for a communist revolution of force and violence are far advanced. The organization behind these preparations has almost unlimited financial resources, and it provides both training and leadership based upon years of experience in many other countries. Our enemies are deadly serious about their task, and it's nothing short of national suicide for us to continue to ignore their plans and their progress. The strategy of the proletarian revolution calls for the quiet conversion of our government into a communist regime, but under the banner of socialism. What has all this to do with the communist revolution in America? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it has everything to do with it because the building of socialism is the communist revolution in America. It represents the process whereby our country can be moved gradually toward communism without the people even being aware of it. No matter what grievance we may have, real or imagined, no matter what national problems we may face, the communists seize upon these as excuses to build socialism. They have one and only one solution for all problems: more government, and then more and more until it's total government.
Now we can see a new world coming into view. A world in which there is a very real prospect of a new world order.
After 1989, President Bush said, and it's a phrase that I often use myself, that we needed a new world order.
About what the Clinton administration's foreign policy will be, what this so-called new world order will look like.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order.
George Bush has invoked a new world order without enunciating a new American purpose.
We all talk about a new world order.
It is a big idea, a new world order.
A new world order, a new set of challenges is confronting us, both domestically and abroad.
The historic role in trying to make sure that there is, after all, a new world order.
And today that new world is struggling to be born. A world quite different from the one we've known.
I believe we, and particularly you, your class, has an incredible window of opportunity to lead in shaping a new world order.
So folks, if you're not scared by now, then you can't be scared of anything. The time bomb is ticking.
Out of these troubled times, our fifth objective, a new world order can emerge, a new era.
This is the world you are graduating into.
And the phenomenal opportunities before us to create a real new world order.
The world communist system wants us destroyed.
When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order.
Clear. If the Electoral College votes for Joe Biden, will you concede?
Well, if they do, they made a mistake because this election was a fraud. Just so you understand, this election was a fraud.
Well, now the president of the United States is literally embracing a deranged conspiracy theory that millions of votes were changed using software.
They rigged the election, and now, based on the rigged election, they're destroying our country.
There was no collusion, no grand conspiracy. Virtually every case was about an individual trying to cast an extra ballot.
The November 3rd election was the most secure in American history.
This is a fraud on the American public.
What evidence does the public have that indicates the 2020 U.S. presidential election was rigged? How was it stolen? And by whom? Who are the chief conspirators in the so-called deep state? What are their allegiances? And how have they evaded prosecution thus far? Are the walls of justice finally closing in on America's most prolific crime families? This video series has been adapted tightly from the research of Patel Patriot.
And so if you're the president of the United States, the commander-in-chief of our armed forces, and you know your opponent's going to steal an election, you're almost derelict in your duty if you don't do something to stop it.
Since July 2nd, 2021, his viral article series, Devolution, has explored the legitimacy of Joseph Biden's presidency. Patel Patriot has largely devoted his Substack to questioning the possibility of white hats in the intelligence and military sectors of our government, shifting into a legal process of removing the commander-in-chief from his position as a last resort to save the republic from a coup, a process known as devolution. The devolution series seldomly descends into conjecture or opinion. It avoids hearsay from anonymous sources. Rather, it weaves together publicly available and verified data points to support the hypothesis that history is in the making as Titanic events transpire behind the scenes. Out of respect for the author of this article series, this video series will stick very closely to the original text, only making minor adjustments for the sake of clarity, relevance, or time's sake.
And in terms of whether or not when the votes are counted and they're all counted, that will be accepted. If I win, that will be accepted. If I lose, that'll be accepted.
This is going to be a fraud like you've never seen.
Is devolution occurring in the United States?
It is now my great privilege and high honor to be the first person to officially introduce the 46th President of the United States, Joseph R. Biden, Jr.
As law and order erodes exponentially in the United States, the American public is rapidly awakening to the communist infiltration of its criminal justice system, its news and entertainment media, its intelligence community, its military-industrial complex, and its public schools.
Schools around the country have become ground zero for pushing back against this woke indoctrination. It is quite disgusting.
The extent of the malignancy is underpinned by traitorous politicians, megalomaniacal intellectuals, and radical public figures who seek to destroy the Constitution, the democratic republic formulated by our founding fathers, traditional American values, and by extension, the nuclear family and Judeo-Christianity.
Portland was burning. It was on fire. This has been well documented. It just hasn't been broadcast in the mainstream media.
These turncoats have progressed their agenda through a variety of methods. Chiefly among them is the employment of false flag events, disinformation, Distraction, suppression, omission, projection, bribery, intimidation, and subversion.
When the Soviets used the phrase ideological subversion, what do they mean by it?
What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in 4 basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism. The next stage is destabilization. This time, and it takes only from 2 to 5 years to destabilize a nation, what matters is essentials: economy, foreign relations, defense systems. The next stage, of course, is crisis. It may take only up to 6 weeks to bring a country to the verge of crisis. And after crisis, with a violent change of power, structure, and economy, you have so-called the period of normalization. It may last indefinitely. Normalization is a cynical expression borrowed from Soviet propaganda. When the Soviet tanks moved into Czechoslovakia in '68, Comrade Brezhnev said, "Now the situation in brotherly Czechoslovakia is normalized." This is what will happen in the United States if you allow all these schmucks to bring the country to crisis.
If you look objectively at Trump's handling of China, his policies were pro-American rather than the pro-China approach of previous administrations. In August of 2017, he directed the Office of the United States Trade Representative to investigate Chinese economic practices.
We will safeguard the copyrights, patents, trademarks, trade secrets, and other intellectual property that is so vital to our security and to our prosperity.
Their subsequent report attacked many aspects of China's monetary policy.
President Trump imposed new tariffs on $200 billion worth of Chinese imports to the U.S.
Trump began imposing tariffs on Chinese products, referencing, quote, a trade deficit of $500 billion a year with intellectual property theft of another $300 billion. These tariffs led to a trade war that culminated in the Phase 1 trade deal signing on January 15th of 2020. The very next day, Trump's impeachment trial in the Senate began. Think back to August 2019.
The president said, I said, call him.
The pressure is building on the Biden family for their ties to Ukraine and China.
You're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. I think it was, 6 hours? I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired.
It almost feels like Durham would drop the hammer any day on the Obama administration for Spygate. The whistleblower comes forward with the quid pro quo accusation, and an impeachment inquiry in the House of Representatives is underway.
It's a scam. It's a big scam.
However, with a Republican majority in the Senate and no evidence of a quid pro quo, everybody knows the president will be acquitted.
You have a kangaroo court headed by Little Shifty Schiff.
The America First platform Trump campaigned on was working. The economy was booming. He was winning the trade war with China. None of the scandals thrown at him had stuck. He was unscathed through impeachment. Along with the other 2 most significant threats to America, Democrats and the media, China was desperate to get Trump out of office.
They're using this impeachment hoax for their own political gain.
China favored a Biden presidency, and as found on Hunter Biden's laptop, they would have an equity stake in the Biden administration. Although the fake polls said otherwise, the Democrats appeared to have little chance in 2020. The momentum was palpable. The only way the Democrats would be able to win the election was to steal it.
I'm really happy with the job we're doing, and I'm glad that this team and me are here for this horrible thing. I mean, it's a number of people have said it, and I feel it, actually. I'm a wartime president. This is a war.
How convenient that COVID-19 would present them such an opportunity.
It's COVID. You can't watch anything else. On November 4th, you won't be hearing so much about it.
What's his closing argument? That people are too focused on COVID. He said this at one of his rallies. COVID, he's complaining. He's jealous of COVID's media coverage.
You can decide for yourself whether the leak was intentional or not. But what did President Donald J. Trump himself say?
You see with the stock market, where the stock market's at 24,000 and we went through the worst attack we've ever had on our country. This is really the worst attack we've ever had. This is worse than Pearl Harbor. This is worse than the World Trade Center. There's never been an attack like this. And it should have never happened.
You want to know what's in the heart and soul of every American? They believe their vote counts. And now you want to tell them that's not true?
But
what?
the results of the election will be wrong. One candidate will win because of computer error.
He will?
Yes,
How do you know that?
I'm telling you.
Based on what? Guessing. Listen, this is your project, Eleanor. If you want to tinker with it for future elections, it's not only your prerogative, I encourage you. The Delacroix voting system is your baby. You're a perfectionist. Bless your heart. I support you 100%. You want to make it more perfect. But do it alone and with an eye to the future, because it is the future that interests us. Now is the past.
Everything about the election of 2020 was controversial. Sitting presidents don't gain votes and not get reelected. Obama had 3 million less votes and was reelected with a total of almost 66 million votes. Trump gained almost 12 million votes and lost with a total of over 74 million votes.
I mean, they have Biden beating Obama on Obama's vote in areas that mattered in terms of the election, in swing states. And yet he's losing to Obama all over the place. But he's beating Obama in swing states, which are the states that mattered for purposes of the election.
It was evident COVID-19 was a pretext for mass numbers of mail-in voting. Jerry Nadler once said, "Mail-in ballots are extremely susceptible to fraud." Local Democrat officials and rhinos unconstitutionally changed election laws in swing states to create more mail-in voting. Trump saw this coming a mile away.
This is the greatest scam in the history of politics, I think, and I'm talking about beyond our nation.
According to BBC, U.S. President Donald Trump has warned his fellow Republicans their opponents may steal November's election, as his party anointed him as their candidate. They're using COVID to defraud the American people, Mr. Trump told delegates on the first day of the party convention in North Carolina. He repeated an untrue claim that mail-in ballots could lead to voter fraud. An unprecedented number of Americans are expected to vote by mail as a result of the coronavirus pandemic.
I mean, I think clearly there have been anomalies. There's been problems with accepting these 80 million mailed out ballots. That was the Democrat strategy. They said, we're going to hold up this election. We think there should be a red mirage where it looks like Trump wins. We're going to be counting for months. And even if he looks like he wins, we will not accept his inauguration. We are going to have our own inauguration. That's what John Podesta said to the New York Times. All that went on. As soon as Trump has a problem, he says, I'm going to challenge this. Oh, it's terrible. It's crazy.
At the first presidential debate, Biden said he would accept the election outcome, but only after all the votes are counted. That could take some time.
According to The Hill, President Trump on Monday further cast doubt on the U.S. election process. It follows months of Trump claiming without evidence that widespread mail-in voting during the coronavirus pandemic would invite fraud into the election.
The only way we're going to lose this election is if the election is rigged. Remember that. It's the only way we're going to lose this election. So we have to be very careful.
There are thousands of examples out there just like these, and even a few prior to 2020.
If people mail in ballots, there's a lot of illegality. When you do all mail-in voting ballots, you're asking for fraud.
In fact, President Trump expressed skepticism of election integrity as far back as November 6, 2012, when he tweeted, "More reports of voting machines switching Romney votes to Obama. Pay close attention to the machines, and don't let your vote be stolen." According to CNN, President-elect Donald Trump alleged Sunday, without evidence, that millions of people voted illegally for Hillary Clinton, and otherwise he would have won the popular vote. It's an unprecedented allegation by a president-elect. Trump won the Electoral College, and thus the White House, but the Democratic nominee leads him in the popular vote by about 2 million ballots. In addition to winning the Electoral College in a landslide, "I won the popular vote if you deduct the millions of people who voted illegally," Trump tweeted. So what do you do as a president when you know fraudulent activity runs rampant through our federal elections? You take action. On May 11th, 2017, Trump established the Presidential Advisory Commission on Election Integrity. Section 3 outlines the mission of the commission. The commission shall, consistent with applicable law, study the registration and voting processes used in federal elections. The commission shall be solely advisory and shall submit a report to the president that identifies the following: those vulnerabilities in voting systems and practices used for federal elections that could lead to improper voter registrations and improper voting, including fraudulent voter registrations and fraudulent voting. In September of 2018, Trump signed an executive order imposing certain sanctions in the event of foreign interference in a United States election. 2 months later, he created the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. According to the agency's official website, on November 16, 2018, the president signed into law the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency Act of 2018. This act elevates the mission of the former Department of Homeland Security National Protection and Programs Directorate and establishes the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. CISA is responsible for protecting the nation's critical infrastructure from physical and cyber threats, a mission that requires effective coordination and collaboration among a broad spectrum of government and private sector organizations. The following month, in December of 2019, Trump created the Space Force. Trump was proactively taking steps to deter an election theft. The Devolution series outlines exactly how President Donald Trump used all the legal powers available to him as President of the United States and Commander-in-Chief of the United States Armed Forces to defeat the election theft. Donald Trump initiated a real continuity of government plan and left office on January 20th, but his return is imminent. The concept of devolution is fundamental and part of the government's top secret continuity of government plans. Newsweek published an article in 2020 that discussed devolution in depth. While the report presents devolution in the context of the pandemic, it still provides enough detail to prove that devolution exists and was a topic explored by Trump. According to Newsweek, above top secret contingency plans already exist for what the military is supposed to do if all the constitutional successors are incapacitated. Standby orders were issued more than 3 weeks ago to ready these plans, not just to protect Washington, but also to prepare for the possibility of some form of martial law. According to new documents and interviews with military experts, the various plans, codenamed Octagon, Freejack, and Zodiac, are the underground laws to ensure government continuity. They are so secret that under these extraordinary plans, devolution could circumvent the normal constitutional provisions for government succession, and military commanders could be placed in control around America. The article was published on March 18th, 2020, and claims, quote, standby orders were issued more than 3 weeks ago to ready these plans. That means in February of 2020, Trump had ordered the military to review and prepare the continuity of government plans. The timeline of this is essential. Note this Washington Post article regarding a fringe theory regarding COVID-19 being thrown around by Senator Tom Cotton, and notice the date of February 17th, 2020. Quote, we don't know where it originated, and we have to get to the bottom of that, Cotton said. We also know that just a few miles away from that food market is China's only biosafety level 4 super laboratory that researches human infectious diseases.
The only coronavirus we have is in Wuhan. Yes. Where they have a lab called, what's the lab called again, Stephen?
The Wuhan Novel Coronavirus Lab.
I believe that's the case.
Mystery surrounds the high-security lab at the Wuhan Institute of Virology that handles the world's most dangerous pathogens, making it the target of conspiracy theories about the origin of the virus.
A theory stating the virus originated from a biosafety lab pops up around the same time Trump is ordering the military to prepare continuity of government plans.
So you're 100% confident there was no leak, no accident?
Oh, I'm confident there's no need.
100%.
100%.
Today, we know that this theory is almost certainly true. It's safe to assume military intelligence was all over this at the time, even though Trump didn't publicly state that he had seen evidence that the virus came from the lab until May 1st, 2020.
Why do you keep calling this the Chinese virus? There are reports of dozens of incidents of bias against Chinese Americans in this country. Your own aide, Secretary Azar, says he does not use this term. He says ethnicity does not cause the virus. Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
It's not racist at all, no, not at all. It comes from China. That's why.
According to CBS, asked if Trump had seen anything giving him a high degree of confidence that the Wuhan Institute of Virology was the source of the outbreak, the president replied, yes, I have.
Joining us now is the military commander leading the mission. He is U.S. NORTHCOM Commander General Terrence O'Shaughnessy from the NORTHCOM Command Center. I'll warn you ahead of time. We got a 3-second delay between us, but what he has to say is so important. General, thanks for being here. What does it mean to you to serve your country in your country, as opposed to going on humanitarian efforts around the world?
Well, Brian, I've been all over the world doing all sorts of different campaigns, but there's nothing more sacred than being right here at home defending the homeland. And we're not fighting the virus. Our mission here, right in Colorado Springs, is to defend our nation. And we view this, our commander-in-chief has declared a war on COVID-19. We're part of that as a whole of nation, whole of America approach, and we're incredibly proud to be part of that mission. But we're going to be where the nation needs us to be. We're bringing medical capability, but we're also looking to see what are the other things that we might be able to bring to this fight.
Christoph, let me ask you, why do you think that Truman has never come close to discovering the true nature of his world until now?
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
There is so much disinformation still surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic, and that is by design. Was it an accident? Was it a bioweapon? Depending on the platform you use, you may not even be allowed to ask those questions. However, the answer to those questions is key to the devolution theory because it was the launching pad for the theft of the 2020 election and ultimately the pretext for Trump having our military prepare for devolution. President Trump, with assistance from the United States military, caught our foreign adversaries aiding the Democrats with the theft of an election. This is bigger than just mere corruption and scandal. This is war. They let Biden assume office, but it doesn't mean anything. If devolution is occurring, any damage done can and will be reversed. Their time in office will only lead to more people wanting Trump back. Biden has no meaningful operational control over the military, and they won't let any real harm come to us while the battlefield is being prepped for whatever reveal is coming.
What's going on, John? Yes, we have sworn oath to defend this Constitution, and we're going to do exactly that. Hear me out. Right now, I am stationed in California, not by the active military. Understand that much. That being said, I say that to say this. I am working overtime, as well as many others. There are things lined up. There are plans in place. There are also contingency plans to include a contingency plan for that. In layman's terms, that means a backup plan. That being said, I'm here in California right now with like-minded individuals and have been working overtime behind the scenes. So we're moving in silence, understand that. It's almost go time. And you guys will know, I promise you that. We will get the word out. Stay safe and God bless, and love you guys from Southern California.
I want to know why what happened in Myanmar can't happen here. No reason. I mean, it should happen here. No reason. Right? That's right.
We are in a completely unprecedented situation. We need to step back and review everything that has happened since the release of COVID. Our enemies conspired to attack the USA with a bioweapon to steal an election with one of our political parties.
So the time for waiting is over. This is not about freedom or personal choice.
That is the actual coup.
If it becomes necessary to get yet another boost, then we'll just have to deal with it when that occurs.
Regardless of whether devolution is occurring, the calamity and insanity we are witnessing on the world stage, particularly since the premeditated release of COVID-19 and the subsequent authoritarian lockdowns, indicate that society is in the throes of an information war. Throughout this series, we will investigate extensive corruption related to the communist coup occurring in America and what kind of future we may be barreling towards. Now, roughly 10 years after the mythologically significant date of December 21st, 2012, it seems like palpable changes in awareness are finally occurring globally. Perhaps the cabal's desperate push for a new world order is exactly what Earth needs to catalyze a planetary unification event, not the kind that the dark occultists desire. Rather, we are being presented with the opportunity for all points on the political compass to recognize our common enemy and work together in love as one race and one people. Rapid authoritarian expansion is certainly galvanizing the political initiation of millions of formerly disinterested citizens. If only we can act intelligently as one planet to snuff out the deep state, malevolent secret societies, and the elite criminal syndicates pulling the strings of our institutions, then perhaps we stand a chance at peace on Earth and traveling the stars.
Muted.
All right.
I said I still get very emotional when we see those old photos and films of the rallies, you know, of people not complying and standing up.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think about that, Rene? Because it's really interesting to watch.
No, it's for me, it's interesting for a different reason. It's just, I mean, go ahead, Stu. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying it's really interesting to watch stuff like that from a lot of people we listen to. I mean, we spitball about things, Michelle above as a man and all this sorts of stuff, and we look at, shape of the earth and all these things. But a lot of the people I listen to only deal with facts, executive orders, news articles that come out, the lawful things. So it's great to watch stuff like that.
Yeah. So look at this. So before this, change in me, I'll tell you what I perceived every time Trump would say the election is rigged. This is my mind back then. All right. He was telling me back then that he was planning a coup. Because he was telling me, the old me, that no matter what the outcome was, it's rigged. I'm the president. Think about that. You know, you're like, flip it. You know, if you don't go through this process and you're just listening to this message, you're assuming that there's a fair election. This is the United States of America, the greatest country in the world. This is what we've been told, you know. So there's a leader that is going through the electoral process that is telling the citizens that essentially no matter what happens and I lose, it's rigged. That's really scary for people to hear. If they're not open to this perspective that, thanks to you folks, I now have.
Yeah.
And now when I see it, it's with complete credibility, what he's saying.
Yeah.
Before it was complete incredulity, and now it's with complete credibility. It's just incredible how you can shift like that in such a short period of time. It really is something to behold.
Yeah.
And I thought I was stubborn. I guess I'm not so stubborn.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's a lot about facts too, because so many people were just hearing sound bites, but they didn't understand executive orders. They didn't understand all the information that was out there about these machines for years. They didn't understand. They couldn't see the patterns.
Diebold, right? That was the name of the company, Diebold. Wasn't that the election machines, Diebold, something like that? I don't know.
Dominion.
Dominion.
It was Dominion, Smartmatic, Hammer and Scorecard, all these sorts of things. But obviously, look, I just played that, and it makes me want to play this video. I've got another one, 10 minutes now. John Herold, who wrote the Devolution series, and he did get it off someone else. There's a story about that. It's amazing. He's got, and I put an 8-minute and a 2-minute video together, so there's a slight bit of repetition from one to the other. But this is undeniable. This is called conspiracy theory versus conspiracy fact. Right? Now, this is amazing. I've got it on normal speed, but if it's slow, I will speed it up during. But this is amazing.
When you actually look at all this stuff, there is documented proof that something different is going on.
And in my second term, which we're sort of having now, but I don't want the results, right?
There's a flurry of moves at the Department of Defense, which Rachel Maddow on TV, like,
kind of a weird reaction to losing the election, right? Immediately fire the defense secretary and install a new guy.
What should happen is what the plan that we're on now, and I think a plan that's going to make people very, very happy.
What do they think the NSA and the CIA can do if they were suddenly commandeered by Trump lackeys?
We have some very good controls in place. And they're going to get 3 more years. They rig an election, they're going to get another 3 more years.
Trump was making tons of moves in irregular warfare, specifically having to do with irregular warfare. And then just like a couple months ago, he comes out and openly admits that the last 7 years, our intel agencies have been conducting
illegal psychological warfare campaigns against the American people. I'm a wartime president. This is a war. This is a war, different kind of a war than we've ever had.
Chris Miller, like, cut the red tape for Ezra Cohen-Watnick, the head of special operations, to report directly to Christopher Miller, the Secretary of Defense.
They think it's a trick that I'm playing on them. They think I'm playing a trick.
On December 7th, when Donald Trump issued the executive order which implemented and executed a continuity of government plan.
They cheated, and it's a shame that they're allowed to get away. And let's see whether or not they do get away, because I don't think they will get away with it.
Chris Miller, who's been the Secretary of Defense for like a month and 5 days or something, says we've been through some of the most
complex military operations this country's ever conducted.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, you know, when you rob the store of its diamonds, I always say Tiffany, and you rob Tiffany of its diamonds and you get caught, you're supposed to return them. If we caught them cheating, you're going to let somebody that cheated stay for 3 more years? I can't imagine it.
Donald Trump issued 10 national security presidential memorandums in his last 10 days in office. Those specifically deal with national security matters. He issued one every 53.7 days leading up to that point, and he issued 10 in his last 10 days, and some of them are still classified. We have no idea what they are.
If we are right about the fraud, Joe Biden can't be president. But when you're beating the so-called, I say so-called president of the United States, when you're beating him by so much.
2 days before Trump left office, the continuity of government protocol, like the warning system, was sent out to thousands of government employees. And everybody's like, what the hell is going on?
I don't want the results of this second term. This second term is a disaster for this country.
Is it a conspiracy that like the entire establishment tried to remove Trump from office pretty much his entire time as president? Like, is it really that much? Is it that much of the stretch of the imagination that they might try to steal the election from him? You know what I mean? Like, how many times did they impeach him? Twice. All the Russia collusion stuff. There were people calling for his removal from office before he actually was inaugurated. That's not a conspiracy. Like, everything the media said about Trump, that was a conspiracy. I mean, they even unleashed this whole COVID thing. Like, is that a conspiracy? Like the vaccines work, all that shit. The real pandemic was like this media-driven fear porn, and the left-leaning politicians, all these people going all in on COVID being the worst thing ever.
Very dark winter.
A very dark winter.
A dark winter is looming.
We're about to go into a dark winter.
A dark winter is ahead.
More people may die.
Because they wanted to implement mass mail-in ballots, right? That's not a conspiracy.
What they're doing is using COVID to steal an election.
And there's like actual verifiable proof of election fraud. If you just go, look, that's not a conspiracy. Or is it a conspiracy that like CISA came out, right? How many election vulnerabilities did they find in the Dominion voting machines? Was it 9 or something like that? That's not a conspiracy either. Like the late night ballot dumps, that's not a conspiracy. In February of 2021, Time Magazine came out and they wrote like this whole article where they're like, yeah, here's this history of the secret shadow campaign that fortified the election. Basically, to all these, you know, groups and coalitions and everything that they used to steal the election. They admitted it in February of 2021. Not a conspiracy. Or the fact that our election infrastructure was deemed critical infrastructure, that's not a conspiracy theory. That was under Obama. And so stealing an election would be an act of war. Donald Trump called himself a wartime president. That's documented. That's not a conspiracy.
I'm a wartime president.
His literal duties as commander-in-chief would be to prevent the actual theft of an election.
If we are right about the fraud, Joe Biden can't be president.
And then like you can get into the details of the actual theory where the day after Joe Biden was declared the winner, what did Trump do? He fires Secretary Esper and promotes Chris Miller, a specialist in special operations and psychological warfare and irregular warfare, which is important because if you've been following the series at all or the show, you know that Trump was making tons of moves in irregular warfare, specifically having to do with irregular warfare. And then just like a couple months ago, he comes out and openly admits that the last 7 years, our intel agencies have been conducting illegal, irregular warfare and psychological warfare against the American people.
The same weaponized agencies that for 7 years have been running illegal psychological warfare campaigns against the American people.
Like that's not a conspiracy theory either. That's all there. Yep. And not just Chris Miller. There's a flurry of moves at the Department of Defense, which Rachel Maddow on TV, like, what does Trump think he's going to do? Like overturn, what is he going to do at this point? I don't remember the exact quote.
The new defense secretary, Christopher Miller, you'll recall that Christopher Miller was suddenly installed as defense secretary right after Biden won the election. It was this kind of a weird reaction to losing the election, right? Immediately fire the defense secretary and install a new guy. What do they think the NSA and the CIA can do if they were suddenly commandeered by Trump lackeys?
He's clearly up to something. Is it a conspiracy theory that Chris Miller like cut the red tape for Ezra Cohen-Watnick? the head of special operations to report directly to Christopher Miller, the Secretary of Defense, or that Kash Patel stonewalled the Biden Department of Justice, or sorry, the Biden transition team, whatever it was, so that they couldn't see into the special operations. That's not a conspiracy theory. Or on December 7th, when Donald Trump issued the executive order which implemented and executed a continuity of government plan, that's not a conspiracy theory. Or December 18th, in the clip to this intro of the show, you have Chris Miller talking to Mike Pence. Chris Miller, who's been the Secretary of Defense for like a month and 5 days or something, says we've been through some of the most
complex military operations this country's ever conducted.
What did they do in a month and a half that would be that complex? Like the most complex military operation the country's ever seen, from a guy who was like one of the first guys on the ground in Afghanistan after 9/11. That's not a conspiracy. He said that. Or January 6th being a false flight. The conspiracy theory is January 6th was like an actual insurrection. That was, Trump told us the day before. This is not a conspiracy theory either. There's a memo. Trump issued a memo the day before January 6th, where he comes out and says Antifa has long used peaceful protests. They hijack them and they use them to push their political agenda. He was basically telling you what was about to happen the next day. Or January 7th, D.N.I. Ratcliffe, what did he do? He wrote that letter in opposition to the rest of the intel community, where they were all saying there was no election fraud. He comes out and says, no, I disagree with their assessment. There was election fraud. And in there, a little nugget, you can tell he's pointing to China and the cyber guy. So there was likely cyber fraud from China. Or the NSPMs. We talked about this a lot at GART, our conference. Yep. Donald Trump issued 10 national security presidential memorandums in his last 10 days in office. Those specifically deal with national security matters. He issued one every 53.7 days leading up to that point, and he issued 10 in his last 10 days, and some of them are still classified. We have no idea what they are. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's there. Or what about 2 days before Trump even left office? Sorry, I could go on and on. 2 days.
No, this is
dude,
stop.
Bro. It's deep.
Don't
it's
stop,
deep,
man.
Bro.
Your power is rising.
Then stop talking. 2 days before Trump left office, the COGCON level was changed. It was lowered. 2 days before Trump left office, the continuity of government protocol, like the warning system, was sent out to thousands of government employees. And everybody's like, what the hell is going on? That's weird. Nearly everything about the Biden administration is a freaking contradiction, by the way. That's a conspiracy theory. The real conspiracy theory is that Biden actually won the election. That's the only conspiracy theory that is there. And honestly, people who like still accept that as a possibility, like I don't know, they need to like, you need to step off the short bus for a minute and like loosen the helmet strap, because you're struggling at this point.
Standard issue villagers.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. When you actually look at all this stuff, there is documented proof that something different is going on right now. Like there's something weird going on. We may not know everything about what it is, but you can't argue with the fact that Trump did all those things. Those are documented. It's not a conspiracy theory. That's I think my biggest thing is when people approach this topic and they talk about it with stuff that you can't back up, you make it look like a conspiracy theory when it's not. That there is documented factual stuff that took place that backs up this theory. While it's still a theory, we don't have a piece of paper that says this is what happened, but there's a lot of circumstantial evidence. And so that's why you see people out there, like on that interview, talking about how, oh, you know, this, the CIA guy told me this, and oh, it just sounds crazy, you know. Well, yeah, when you hear it offhand from people who are talking about it in that way, it's going to sound crazy. But when you talk about it with the facts, it doesn't sound crazy. It's like, holy shit, something's happening. That's why we got to change our approach. And that's why it's important to use facts and not this other bullshit.
So, Green Star. Bravo, John.
All right, Green
that
Star.
Was your great.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff there that tells you that something else has been going on behind the scenes, which is what we.
Interestingly, when you listen to Trump, when he calls it his second term, but not really, right?
Yeah,
it's Biden's term.
It's
right.
Yeah,
he's letting us know he's still and he always said, "I'm your commander in chief," even during the Biden administration. And then the China, you know, there's a lot of interpretations of China because there are certain areas in the Ukraine. The name, I believe, has China in it, and then of course we have China Lake region. Anyway, all of those are trafficking bioweapon hubs.
Yeah.
So since we're now dealing with a world that American election frauds are a thing, how do we get the people back where their vote counts? Because it's disemboweling to think that what we do at the polls means nothing.
Yes, exactly. But what's happened is that 4-year devolution period was to show people what was going on, and now that Trump's come back again,
but the people still don't see it, Stu.
Oh yes, but what is Trump doing now? Trump's just written another executive order, hasn't he? That there will is it an executive order? I don't know. That there will be no paper or no mail-in ballots for the midterms. So what we're potentially going to see is this stuff is being done by Trump because he said over that devolution period, it will be easier for us to do what needs to be done because the public will have witnessed what has happened, basically. So you're seeing Trump implement all these things now. This last year has been immense, hasn't it, with the stuff he's been doing?
Let me add to that. Let me add to that
what's the solution? But what's the solution?
Wait, I'm going to tell you.
Go ahead.
We also know that there's tremendous technology, right? So some of what has been said, obviously, he talks about Trump paper, ballots. It's a ballot. It's not using these electronics because they claimed during that election too that none of this connected to the internet, which of course it did. So that's why they were able to control it. And we could go down the rabbit hole of how it had to do with the Vatican and how the votes were, and Venezuela and how this is a whole worldwide thing. However, if you consider some of the quantum science and quantum stuff, there could potentially be a time where we're going to be able to vote, just like we're talking about a decentralized system that can't be hacked for our financial system.
I was thinking the same thing.
That same
Blockchain.
system. That same system can be used to vote.
Yeah, so that's exactly, you just read my mind. I mean, what I would do if I was in power, you set up a quantum resistant blockchain system.
Exactly.
Kind of like with real world assets that they can confirm counterparties. You have a, candidate A token, candidate B token, and then each token has the person's identity on it to prove that this citizen voted for this official, something like that.
Well, what if, just the idea, what if at some point we're all going to be getting, let's just call them Q phones, and from this phone, which is your phone, not with a password, but based on your specific vibrational identity pattern. So you could drop this phone, you could leave it somewhere, it can't be hacked, right? And what if that's what we use? And what if national elections really don't matter anymore? What if everything is local? Because if we're doing everything in a local manner, we don't need big government, right? We don't, even Trump says we're going to we're not going to have the government we had. We don't need it. It's all been done to control us and to launder money.
That's utopia. I mean, I get it, but we have to get there. For now, this is what we have.
Yeah.
But what if we don't have this behind the scenes, but it just hasn't been rolled out?
Right. I mean, this, it's stages.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's talk about the quantum financial system already running in the background, whether that's the case or not. We saw a website came online, didn't it, in about 21, 22, something like that, quantum.gov, which, there's some interesting information on there.
Yeah.
But, this is what, and RFK Jr. was talking about this as well. They set up another website that would show people what the positions of government were doing. And there's talk about moving into a system that, because the problem is at the moment is there's no contract in politics. This is why Obama or someone can tell you what he's going to do before he gets in, and then does the opposite. Right? Because
Mandani in New York City.
Yeah.
he's going to give freebies away to the poor, and what's the first thing he does? He wants to raise taxes 20%.
Right. Now, honestly, think about this. Mandami went to the White House, and Trump says, I like that guy. I think he even said it in the State of the Union. So we have to wonder if this was, and then go back to the election. You have three candidates. You have a Democrat, you have a Republican, and you have, quote, a communist. I think one of them ran on the independent ticket. And Trump says, well, if it's a choice between a communist and a bad Democrat, I have to go with the Democrat. Well, what about the Republican? Why didn't you even look at him? Because he didn't want it to go that way.
Right.
So what if Mamdani is not Mamdani, and what if he's a white hat? Because New York is one of those states that's so badly under the spell. I mean, everybody needs to smack. What if this is all again?
I get it. So the only way people learn is if they get hit over the head with a hammer.
Yeah.
There's no other way.
Yeah.
Because everything else is just, chit chat, lip service. But until it affects them.
Yes.
Not their neighbor, not their friend, not some guy. Oh, poor kid. Until it happens to them, it never happened.
Yeah.
So I get it. That makes sense. That's how you make a population learn its lesson.
Only at the precipice will people find the will to change, to participate.
Because the fear of death
in the queue drop.
Them.
Yeah,
oh,
death or the loss of money, right? So we don't still know what's going to happen. Are people going to, we don't know. Like, do people going to go to their banks and there's going to be zero balances, or we don't know, because everybody wakes up at a different level.
I'm scared.
Yeah.
I'm scared of that. I've never even thought of that as a possibility. And lately I'm fearing that, but I'm actually doing things about it.
Yeah, don't be scared.
No,
a lot of us closed their bank accounts years ago and took all our cash.
No,
a lot of us.
I have to operate with a serious float. I don't have that privilege. If I don't do this, I can't operate. So
of course, that's your business.
But what have I done? I've taken steps to guarantee the future, no matter what.
Yeah.
Whereas before all of this, speaking to you nice folks, and I've literally done this in a very, very, very short period of time. I just went about business as usual, assuming that this is going to last forever, good times rolling forever. And now it's like nuclear war is tomorrow. The end of the world as we know it is the day after tomorrow, and the aliens coming on day 3 to hit us with satanic evil the day after that. So what does a man do when he has a family to deal with? And believe, for the first time in my life, I'm not only thinking of, and I don't know how I got here, I'm no longer just thinking of my children. I'm thinking of my unborn grandchildren and their children.
Yeah.
So that's the level of freak out we're at. Because, I'm thinking about okay, I got to pay for college for Fran in 2 years, Stefan, whatever. But now I'm thinking about my great grandchildren.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, everyone needs, if you pay the bills and you've got things and outgoings and people to pay in your business and stuff, you need to, in their system, have that bank account going. But it's what you do with any excess that is the thing. No, we're not financial advisors and stuff, but this is why people have been putting their 401ks, etc., into gold and silver, something substantial, because what you were saying there about, the fake alien invasion and this might happen and that, we believe there's going to be a massive global financial banking collapse at some stage. And whether that's just shut down for a little while it
that's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
is going to be a precipice moment for a lot of people. When it hits them in the pockets, they cannot look away anymore.
Yeah,
So
you could look
that
away
might
from the
be-
kids, right? You could turn your back and say, well, you know, what am I going to do? You know, all these kids, they're being trafficked. Oh, babies, all right, it's terrible, right? But if you go to your if you look on your bank thing on your phone and it's 0, that's like a different type of hitting you in the
No,
face.
it's a huge problem, and it's extremely effective. So I represent all kinds of people, you know, the type of work I do. And I represent a lot of undocumented aliens, you know, the illegals. I do. You know, this is full disclosure. And I've been telling my clients now for years, you will actually be okay in this country illegally. Listen to what I'm saying. Until this one event happens. One event. And they're like, what is that? In Spanish, of course, they're asking. Once you lose access to the banking system, I give you a week before you're out of here. Because you can't survive. So if you want to deport millions of people, the way they're doing it is not effective. I mean, it's a good show, but if they really want to do it, you cut off banking. You're quiet because it's true.
Well, think of it this way. We don't really know, you know, there's a lot of rumors. Remember how the wall wasn't finished and this and that. And by the way, the wall isn't just a wall that keeps people out.
No, I know, but
there's
I'm
something
just
very,
saying
no, wait. There's something very spiritual and vibratory about that wall, which we could get into in another minute. However, you got to remember, if people were flooding in, what were they getting? They were getting cell phones.
No, but Elisa,
You know where everyone is what I'm trying to
you
say.
can't spend the cell phone. Right. I mean, but if you really, really, really were at the point where you wanted to just out, you cut off banking. Because you can't function.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine you don't have a bank account.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a credit card. You don't have an ATM. We're going to go out in the streets and club each other. I'm going to go into this beautiful gun safe that I have. And I'm going to load up my rifles with ammo.
Yeah.
I told my wife the other day, I can't believe I'm saying these things. You know what? You know what I don't have? It's like, what? I don't have enough ammo. What am I saying? What am I saying?
Well, you know, I want to say that we have been shown a lot of things that are happening that might not have been happening, as we've been told they were on the fake stream media. We talk about Nasara Jassara, and if that does come in, many illegal immigrants around the world will go back home to their country of origin, because who wouldn't want to be there if you had no war in your country and all these sorts of things, and you had the funds to rebuild. But I was thinking about this General Milley clip, because what's going on at the moment with Trump taking out the cartels, whether that's just a public narrative or not.
Right. Because we think it happened in 2022.
Yeah.
With the military.
In one of the COVID pressers, right, Trump had General Milley came on, and if you think this is anything to do with COVID, right, I would suggest people look into it more. But watching this clip again, it's only 1 minute and 35 seconds, I'll stick it on in a sec, is the fact that if this was going on then, do you really think the 20 million or so people we've been told have come over the border have actually come over the border or not? And when they say they've got 20 million illegals or 30 million in this country, maybe there's nowhere near that.
Well, so there's a lot. I'll as a guy who, I mean, I can't vouch for the numbers, but as a guy who works in the industry of representing people, there is a lot.
Yeah. Play this clip.
Thank you, Secretary, for those words, and thank you, Mr. President, for your leadership. And I want to publicly thank Admiral Craig Fowler, the commander of U.S. Southern Command out of Miami, for leading this operation, which is underway effective today, and also Admiral Gilday, the Chief of Naval Operations, Admiral Schultz, for their contributions to this from their services. There's thousands of sailors, Coast Guardsmen, soldiers, airmen, Marines involved in this operation. We came upon some intelligence some time ago that the drug cartels, as a result of COVID-19, were going to try to take advantage of the situation and try to infiltrate additional drugs into our country. As we know, there's 70,000 Americans die on an average annual basis to drugs. That's unacceptable. We're at war with COVID-19, we're at war with terrorists, and we are at war with the drug cartels as well. This is the United States military. You will not penetrate this country. You will not get past Jump Street. You're not going to come in here and kill additional Americans. And we will marshal whatever assets are required to prevent your entry into this country to kill Americans. So right now, the Navy has marshaled additional Gray Hull ships from both PACOM and EUCOM and for the Naval Fleet at Norfolk. And they are set sail already, and they are in the Caribbean right now. In addition to that, there's 10 Coast Guard cutters, and there's Special Operations Forces and Security Force Assistance Brigades, along with Air Force reconnaissance aircraft. The bottom line is you're not going to get through. Now is not the time to try to penetrate the United States with illegal drugs to kill Americans. With the United States military, we will defend our country regardless of the cost. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Secretary.
Now, I mean, there's definitely a great effort, but there's a lot here. I just don't know numbers.
Well, you have to also wonder how long have they been here? Do you know what I'm saying?
Also, listen, there's a little bit of everything. You have to understand these borders are huge. There are established routes. You can stop a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
But anything over time, you drop water on a rock, you're going to turn it into sand over time. Right. It's drip, 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 drip. It's no longer a river. But there is clearly a drip. I mean, there still is a drip, but I believe that the drip is the smallest it's been probably in decades.
Yeah.
I mean, we know Trump finished, and we've looked into this a lot. Trump finished pretty much all of that wall, but there were just certain points of that border wall left open.
Yeah.
What's a perfect place to track everything that is coming in?
Look, where there's a will, there's usually a way. Not always. A lot of people die in the process, get caught, get arrested, everything. But some people get through. But it's really spectacular and very impressive how little it is now compared to before.
Yeah. Hey, Stu, I have a question. Even though we're on with Renee and he may not. What was the kind of the upshot on Milley? Because I know he took, he has been vilified as a traitor and all of this. And do you have a thought on if he is, if he isn't, if he's a good guy playing a bad guy playing a good guy?
I don't think Trump has. I think a lot of these military generals, Trump had the 200 good generals about him, not the TV generals. When I saw Trump, he always had Milley with him, where he was going to foreign bases or going to see the troops and knock out a bit of food and things like that. Milley was always there with him. People could talk about Milley all day long, but my personal belief is Milley is a white hat through and through. And all the time he was sitting in Congress talking about wokery and people were making the memes up of him wearing lipstick and all this sort of stuff. I think he was just playing a role.
Amazing. Guys, I'm at 10 o'clock. I have to go.
All right, get your pad out, your little memo pad. Remember in second grade, you got to write your homework down. So
we'll have coffee.
All right, so we'll do like a watch party. Okay, so are we good for Sunday?
Sunday would be great. I'll go to the gym in the morning, and then we'll meet like at maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Okay.
10 o'clock. Oh no, wait, we're gonna do in the afternoon.
Well, we have watched the first part of that. You can watch the final 4 parts as your homework. So we don't necessarily need to do that watch party, but that was great.
Are we doing this at 2 p.m.?
What, on Sunday? Well, we might do, we might not. We'll have a chat about it over the weekend.
Let me know. And if not, Sunday too, maybe we can get together for coffee and do it then.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thanks again.
Take care, Renee. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Is he gone? He's frozen. Kicked from studio. There we go. No, that's all right. Got rid of him. Right. I don't know, because he was a bit stuttery today, wasn't he, on the webcam? And I don't know whether that's because he's got all his people there linked into the Wi-Fi and stuff.
Could be.
Shut them all down last time, so we might need to have a chat about that. But that was great. We talked about devolution and the plan, and a lot of things going behind the scenes, factual stuff. Really good. We could talk about medbeds and stuff another time, because we've got every week going forward, haven't we, to just discuss all this stuff.
I think he's I think it wasn't like as kind of like urgent, before he was really feeling and being in the throes of the pain of realizing a lot of these things. So I'm looking at his demeanor and everything, and so it seems like some of that has quelled a little bit, the initial shock of the children and the trafficking, and so that's now we can start to go past the emotion and now go to the intellect with him, like we did today, because there was a very intellectual kind of a conversation and analysis, as opposed to trying to comfort him about the horrors that he had just found the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. So that's great little show. We're back in 2.5 hours with Jason.
Yes.
And, see what he's been digging into all week.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you everyone for joining us, and thanks for all the love comments in there for Renee. I saw there's a couple for George. They're very sweet. But yeah, we'll keep going. So we'll have to figure out if it makes sense to do maybe even an hour. We could see if there's something we want to curate, if we want to go through some of the other devolution stuff, or I'm open to that on Sunday. So, we'll chat and see what makes sense.
And don't forget, guys, we've got our family Saturday chat tomorrow. So you're all welcome and invited. The StreamYard link is everywhere. And if you look at the family chat on Rumble, the StreamYard link is already pinned to the top.
Yeah.
So
10 a.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. UK time.
No.
No? Did I get that wrong?
Unless you're now
sorry.
3 hours different.
Sorry, I didn't do my math.
Yeah.
I'm saying that doesn't really sound right, what I just said.
No.
I was thinking today was 1, right? With the 8 a.m.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right, I'm going to get something to eat and all that, and try and do this transfer, but I think there's a problem with that on my end. So we'll talk about that in a bit. But thanks, everyone.
Okay. Much
Where
love.
we go. Love you.
In a world flooded with noise, clarity has become rare. People are questioning what they're told and searching for something real. Mr. Heal's modern wellness meets old school remedies. CBD tinctures, methylene blue, gummies and edibles, THC-free wellness, and functional remedies crafted with old school care and modern precision. Biozox, a trusted source for ivermectin and fenbendazole. Biozox, believe your health decisions should be yours, not dictated by politicians or big pharma. Crafted with purpose and precision, freedom forged coffee, cacao and mushroom tinctures, small batch roasted coffee, rich cacao and functional mushrooms crafted with purpose. Verity Metals, redefining what precious metals investing should be. Why choose Verity Metals? We're not just another gold dealer. We're a trusted retirement partner. Our clients choose us because we lead with education, integrity, and transparency. Medical bills are the leading cause of bankruptcy in the United States, accounting for 66.5% of bankruptcies. We can all agree The healthcare system is broken. There is an alternative. Impact health sharing, which Yahoo News is calling the disruptor in the $4.6 trillion healthcare system. For more information, visit patriotsacrossthepond.com.